All the best to us. All the best to us.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we are celebrating International Women's Day. International Women's Day started in 1908, but only in 1975, United Nations actually officially made March 8th, which is today, as International Women's Day. Today, I have two special guests. Unfortunately, Jaya can't make it, but we have another guest who is joining us today. And we're going to start our discussions. Let me introduce you to both. Hello. Welcome, Des
morning.
Maya. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. So before we deep dive into our discussion, I would like to invite each of our esteemed panelists to introduce themselves briefly. Maya, would you please start us off by introducing yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much for this space, Rohit. A privilege to be here, especially with Des, and delighted to be part of something that often people wonder what is the value of. So today being Women's Day, allow me to introduce the woman in me. So right now, I happen to be working for a Tata company based out of India, and I head the life skills vertical as part of the learning and development. And one of the things, Rohit, that I have been extremely passionate about is the leadership programs that we do and bringing in the aspect of DEI as a very normal facet of leadership development. And today it's indeed a privilege for me to be talking to Tess and you on this particular topic.
Thank you, Maya. We really appreciate your time you're giving us and our listeners as well today. So now, Des, could you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Welcome, Maya. Lovely to meet you. Rohit, thank you for this opportunity. Look, my name's Des Mulji. Most people call me Des. Why am I here today? Well, look, I was born in India in Secunderabad. I moved to the UK when I was 8. So, and since that time, I've had a very sort of traditional upbringing, faced a lot of challenges in my life, which is really important, I think, especially today, celebrating International Women's Day, about the adversities and the different challenges that we've had to overcome. And I want to, be able to share my experiences with the intention of being able to help others. I've reached a time in my life where I'm leading a team of agile coaches in a very predominantly technology space, but working very closely with senior leadership, the C-suite, looking at actually how do they need to change their coaching styles, their leadership styles, moving away from the telling and persuading to the asking and listening. And that becomes really important because I think for me, especially from the other women that I've connected with, I think it's just innate. It's our natural ability to listen, to ask, and I think, we nurture those qualities really well. So how do we look to sort of share those experiences so that we're not just impacting the other women around the world, but our male colleagues as well, to look and think differently.
Yeah. Thank you, Des. Thanks for your introduction as well. So this year's International Women's Day campaign theme is actually Inspire Inclusion. So let's deep dive into our discussion now. I want to start with you, Maya. Why do you think it's important to celebrate International Women's Day, especially within the coaching community? And what does it mean to you personally as a woman leader in this field?
Thank you, Rohit. I resonate a lot with what Des just now highlighted, that coaching is one space that very naturally lends itself to inclusion. And the fundamental facet of coaching is embedded in very innately feminine energy that all genders possess. Like she mentioned, it was about being innately compassionate. It is about nurturing, and it is about being there for someone and just being there and letting them find their way out. So I think in the coaching fraternity, honestly, until you had asked me, I hadn't really thought about inclusion, because I come from a space where I think inclusion perhaps was taken for granted. Um, why is it so important to celebrate this day? Rohit, I think over a period of time and life, I have realized that these kind of days are a lot like our birthdays. It's a reminder for us women, while we are mired in the everyday mundaneness, to wake up, take notice of the fact, hey, I'm awesome. So it's less about the world and the planet and more about the women themselves, who occasionally need that pause moment to say, remember me? I exist. Just to ourselves, a fifth. And in the coaching fraternity, I would like to, in one of our conversations, I had also mentioned, so you have the coaching industry, and then you have the coaching fraternity. And when you look at the coaching fraternity, you realize that everyone does manifest inclusivity in terms of sharing opportunities, sharing learning, supporting each other in growing. Having said that, when you look at the coaching industry, that is when, Rohit, you start realizing there is a bias. One of the most common examples of bias is the number of times on our WhatsApp groups for the coaches. I have seen a requirement, and the coach bails themselves out and says, this is not me, this is not my language, but there is a requirement for a male coach, and then the rest of it doesn't matter because it ends there. There's a need for a male coach. And I think I was very happy to hear Des say that she interacts with the C suite, because it is in the C suite that I see the most bias. Because C suite want men who've been there, done that as coaches. So actually, that brings me to the question, Rohit. Are we really clear about what coaching is vis-a-vis what mentoring is? I'll pause on that. What do you think, Des?
Look, I think that when you say, did you say coaching and mentoring?
Mm-hmm.
I
You
think,
said,
look, for me, yeah,
okay.
and look, mentoring is about talking and telling people and advising them, right? Coaching is more in terms of you take the stance that people already have the answer. They
Very
just
true.
don't have the right questions to
Mm-hmm.
ask themselves in order to pull out the answers that matter to them. So we have a responsibility as coaches to really listen and to ask those questions that are thought provoking, that make them really look deep within themselves to understand what is it that they want, what is the difference that they make, what is shaping their current thinking, and how is that impacting others when they interact with them. It's around bringing that self-awareness, and for me, it's an ability you can do regardless of gender,
Very true.
right? And I think that's where, I don't know about you, Maya, but I'm in my 50s now. I've grew up in a very technology male dominated space. So I've sort of lived with it over the years, and I've grown a thick skin. But I think for me, it's a case of when I go into a room, I don't see gender, I see people. A
Oh,
lot of the
that
time, a lot of the time when I walk into a room, they see my gender first.
undeniably. Not only
And
they
so,
see our
look,
gender, yes, they also see how we clothe the gender.
yes, absolutely. And why is it important to celebrate International Women's Day, whether it's in coaching community or just worldwide? I think it takes me back to my childhood when I look at the sacrifices my mum made to stay at home, to look after children. But she was educating us. She was maintaining her household. She learned how to sew so she could get some extra money to spend on us, because my dad was only the one person, bringing that income home. She was doing all of that stuff, and she was nurturing us. She's instilled the woman that I am today and the differences that I'm making out to the world. And it's celebrating all those women in the past and in the future that can have the strength and build that resilience to make a difference for others.
So true.
Yeah. Actually, I'm pausing and reflecting what you both just said.
Yeah,
I
let's.
can, yeah, I can always, obviously, I can't, empathize this thing because I haven't felt it. So, but I think if we have to take this moment and reflect what you just said, for and reaching the stage where you are in your careers, in your experience, what are some effective strategies for promoting gender equality and fostering inclusivity, especially in coaching world? In your experience, what could those be? Yeah. I want to start with you, Des. Now, I think you were speaking. So,
Um, I think for me, if we're looking at effective strategies and around promoting gender equality, I think it's continually highlighting the impact that women are making in the world, in our industries, whether that's through having sort of female networks, I believe, are really crucial. Um, but also, in order to grow, you need to look at sort of mentors. So when you have those networks and you have looking at allyship, they can be both male and female, but having those people that you can go to for advice, in the time that you need them to listen. You need objectivity. You need people to provide honest advice, because it's through reflection and our increase in terms of our self-awareness that we actually improve. So it's, how do we show up in a way where we then sort of mentor and coach others to look beyond the physical, right? To look more closely in terms of the qualities that individuals bring and their potential, and to really promote and support in the best way possible to grow that capability.
Thank you, Des. So I want to pose the same question to you, Maya, as well. In your experience, what could be those strategies?
One of the perhaps simplest things that as an industry, the coaching industry could encourage would be meritocracy, gender irrespective. At the end, I think what today we would like to emphasize is we're not looking for equality, we're looking for equity. So it's about giving us opportunities, commiserate with our abilities and talents, and giving us a space to perform. And in that space of equity, I think meritocracy is the simplest way of setting the ground. And Rohit, I very strongly believe that opportunities in themselves are gender neutral, and irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman or what your gender is, all opportunities necessarily need to be preceded by networking, branding, creating a visibility for the value you can create, and that's gender neutral. It's for men and women. Yes. So any person who needs to avail an opportunity would necessarily need to do that homework of having networked, of having built relationships, of having created circles of influence, and then come up with a value that is undeniable and, as Des so rightfully mentioned, goes beyond the gender and moves into the space of, as a human, what is your capability and what is your capacity. So I think in the coaching industry, meritocracy is important. And the second thing is for everyone to realize opportunities are not gender specific. So each one of us will have to work on it.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I was thinking was the bringing awareness as well. Could it be a strategy in this world for the upcoming, generation to, because sometimes we all talk about in coaching, awareness is the key, and acceptance is the key as well. So could awareness
It
be part of
start,
this? Yeah.
I think it is, but I think if we really want to make a difference in the world, then the awareness shouldn't be what we look to do in adults. It's how do we take this back to the early stages of childhood. I've seen, a difference in schools now where
Yeah.
they like sort of not making it a distinction between boys and girls, but we need to do more of that. We need to give the room for for children to come together to share experiences, and I think starting from a younger age, but ensuring that those things aren't done through the education process in the years that follow is also crucial. So it's sort of an education program that sees them through to the higher education into work. I know when I've been into when I've had my education, I've gone into higher education. It was you have to get things right first time. You can't get things wrong. You cannot fail, and we put such high pressure on people that when we go into the world of business, we go in with those same expectations, and there is this need of, I can't, I'm, and this realization that I can't fail, I need to do better. But actually, we need to step away and actually say it's okay to fail. Yeah, because it's through our failures that actually we grow, and increase our capabilities of being able to do things differently. It broadens our knowledge. And I think for me, that's where I think, in terms of coaching and coaching strategies, it's important that we start from that young age, but promote an element of the things that challenge us the most are the things that change us the most. So don't be frightened of failure. Use it as a positive to make the changes that matter to you the most.
Very true. Apart from the target audience that Des mentioned, where we start with children, see, even the example that I took before, where I said a CEO wanted a male coach, is it lack of awareness or is it the overwhelming strength of his conditioning? So often, more often than not, I wouldn't say that there is sufficient awareness. It's perhaps a greater lack of acceptance of what one is aware of. And by the way, I often talk about this in my sessions. So, the first level is understanding, which is a cognitive function, and the second level is agreeing, and the third level is accepting. So far, what awareness has done in this space is creating an understanding and an agreement. Now, what is left is the acceptance because action happens only after acceptance. And so we
And that's,
find, yeah,
sorry, May, I was just going to say, and that acceptance and the reluctance to accept is down to conditioning.
absolutely.
So I totally agree with you. Having the self-awareness is different to then doing something with it and wanting to do something with it. We talk about those consciously competency models. That is what we are talking about here, which is why I sort of think, like, starting early on in the age is to remove that conditioning, because it's through the point, because the more you're conditioned over the age and over time, the longer it takes to change an individual.
Yeah, very true. I think maybe, Rohit, we could dole out a few crowns to words like being humane. So, um, at the end of it, when someone is conditioned, what is the tipping point towards acceptance?
Yeah.
It is not awareness, it is a sense of benefit. So let's be honest. We are humans and we're driven by
Yeah.
benefit.
Yeah.
So when we talk about benefit, is there a benefit in being humane and creating spaces of equity? It could be emotional, physical, mental, whatever the benefit. But I think creating that awareness is perhaps more important and will naturally percolate into creating equity. So I think the awareness that if you are humane, the world is a better place. That
Indeed.
awareness goes a long way.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about conditioning as well because, as we grow up, we've been conditioned right throughout our life, right? Right throughout our life since we're born. In schools, at home, at universities, at work. And this is where I think it's important that the things need to change as well at the early ages. I want to share something. We had a session yesterday at work as well, and CTO mentioned a really great story actually, or a thought-provoking, saying when she drops kids to her school, you see a lot of moms dropping them, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so you can see, so this is where probably the kids gonna see that, oh yeah, it's only moms who drop the school, and so that was quite thought-provoking, to see how even a small step can have a great effect on kids growing up. So from this I want to move on to this celebration as well. And and I want to share, I want to thank Abhyuday as well, who was supporting this channel, this podcast, and plus anyone who's watching online, please post comments for our panelists if you have any questions. I don't see any yet, but yeah, Cool. Please do post. Yeah. So now, like I said, I want to start discussing some celebration. So Maya, I want to start with you now. Could you share a specific success story in your coaching career you're really particularly proud of?
I realized, so I've been with the present company and industry that I'm working in for the last decade. And I realized with all the energy with which I started leadership development programs across hierarchy, I found over the last 8, 9 years, the number of women at mid level and higher level getting nominated reducing. And it's ironic. That is why I'm not a fan of awareness at a certain level. It needs to go beyond, I said, because in most industries, Rohit, at the hiring level, and especially at the say 0 to 5 or 0 to 6, years, um, a lot of companies claim gender parity. But hey, who are you fooling? The demographic percentages automatically lend itself to that. So if you look at engineering colleges, and there are more women than men, and so if you are hiring from an engineering college, automatically you hire more women than men. So that's not a big feather in the cap. What actually matters is as you move up the ladder, as it were, why are there less women, and why are there less women being nominated for programs? Excuse me. So here's an interesting part. The last few batches of managerial programs, I actually fought with the nominators and said, if you want me to take on your men folk, I need some women there. And trust me, and I think this will resonate with me. They were just like, oh, she's being so stubborn. The labels that came on my head were like plentiful. She was being stubborn, she was being unreasonable, oh, she's being a feminist. Like there were so many labels that get thrown on you. So honestly, one needs to be prepared to even one needs to be prepared to live with labels, and one needs to be prepared to fight labels. It's like never ending. But my success story is that in the last decade, the people I have trained, it is the women I have trained who have brought in greater business, greater success, and greater org growth. And I'm like, "Mwah. Way to go, women."
Thank you for sharing this, Maya. Yeah. Des, over to you.
Thank you, Rohit. Maya, it's just so, your story resonates so much with me. But for me, it's not the last decade, I think. It's the last couple of years where in the company that I work in, we actually have a transformation team looking at actually how do we support an organization to transform for the future, not just in terms of ways of working, but actually on the sort of DE and I aspects of the world to come. And I can honestly say it's the first time that I've been in a team where it's mostly women.
Oh,
It's
wow.
mostly women working with the C-suite, and that are mostly men. But it's a one-for-one match. We may have a C-suite of 10 individuals, but we've got a group of 10 in our transformation team, and there's a one-for-one equivalency to a male C-suite to one of us supporting them. So it's really, I think for me, it's inspiring to actually see, coming from that male-dominated world where I was in a sea of men and working with men and having to sort of, show that I can be an equivalent level in terms of skills, in terms of strength, in terms of, whether that's mental or physical. has been hard, but I think over the years, um, with gender being high and equality being high on the agenda for all organizations, I've come to actually see the appreciation at the C-suite level, especially at the company that I work in, of being able to listen to what we've got to say, because we're not coming in with a female bias. We're coming in with what are the right things to do to move our organization forward. That is a vested interest for all of us in order to provide individuals, provide people with the chances to excel that will produce and make the business productive. And I
Absolutely.
think that's my success story, is just being able to, like, be seen as a peer within that C-suite rather than a subordinate, or someone looking down at me. And that's really sort of, you talked about that awareness, that benefit. What's the benefit? That's one of the motivators. It's how can I make a difference? And if I can make a difference at a leadership level, and they can recognize individuals, and and because everyone looks up to, this is where I want to excel, this is where I want to be. So if they showcase the right behavior, others will follow.
You know, honestly, Rohit, I think over a period of time, the way we women look at Women's Day and the need for awareness has moved into, I would say, from loudspeaker announcements to quietly doing our stuff and
Yeah.
becoming indispensable. And everything else, like yesterday, Des and I were saying, we turn into Taylor Swifts and go shake it off. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how it is. So, like a lot of us, what we do is just very quietly become indispensable men in our lives and ensure that we showcase our ability for detached compassion. And I think that's very important because that's when business grows. So we are identified with compassion. Sure, go ahead, identify us with compassion. The word empathy I define as sensitivity without sacrificing business outcomes. And trust me, we are good at that. And so that's how we showcase. And then the rest of it,
That's beautiful, Maya. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, very inspiring talk. This is, I'm just listening. I'm having the best seat at the moment, so I'm just listening and learning together. Actually, that
thank
brought
you.
me. Yeah, no, thanks to you both. Actually, that brought me to my next question. I was thinking about this. As coaches as well, especially women in coaching, to create this equitable environment or an inclusive environment. What policies with you think are necessary to create this environment? I want to start with you, Maya. Actually, yeah, because you were speaking.
I'd again bring the onus back on women and say create more success stories. And I'm going to use this word very carefully. Be a little more shameless about being awesome rather than apologetic. And get out there and create spaces where you can be a rock star and show people that you're a good coach primarily, fundamentally. That's your identity, that you are a good coach. And so we need to conduct ourselves as I'm a good coach, not that I'm a good woman coach. And trust me, not easy because I still remember when I got into this coaching field and I was doing a workshop on just, that horrible question, discover your niche. So it was like, okay, what's your niche? And you won't believe, after a lot of narrative, it's a group of people, mixed genders, and the lady who was running the workshop actually turns around and says, Maya, I think the best audience would be for, would be divorced women. And I'm like, why? And here I had all ambitions of being a systemic team coach and things like that. And she's like, no, Maya. See, if you're a coach, you need to have a story. And your story about how you overcame a divorce and brought up your child and you are a successful woman. So necessarily my audience was supposed to be divorced women. I'm like, hello? Not happening. Trust me, it's been 8 years since I was told that. And no, I am not looking at being a coach for divorced women. I am pretty successful as a team and a leadership coach. Thank you. So that's what I'm talking about. So for me, if you ask about policy, honestly, Rohit, in a coaching industry, since it does not have systems which are gender biased, the need for a policy to counter it will seem redundant or irrelevant. Having said that, I still believe that we as coaches, as a fraternity, we need to bring in a little more shosha about meritocracy, about success stories, and about supporting each other to build a network that is based on how good we are at what we are. That's what I firmly believe in.
I had the same thing, Maya. I sort of looked at it and I'm thinking it's not really policies or initiatives as such, it's around building those networks, right? Where people can openly come in and actually learn through shared experiences, regardless of gender, because it's through shared experiences that sort of opens up our thinking, right? You talked about understanding, awareness, and acceptance. Until you can actually open up your thinking, you're not going to get to that point of understanding or awareness or acceptance. And I think the more we talk, the more we communicate, the more we can actually open up people's eyes to make a difference. If they choose to wish to do so, we can't change the world for them. The change happens from within, but
Women.
through the stories that we tell, through the experiences and the difference that we've made, it's going to resonate with people, and that will make a difference to them wanting to do the same for others.
Very true. In fact, I agree with Des there. The stories, right now, the stories that I narrate of challenges and success are doing a good job of rendering me gender neutral. So when you deal with teams and when you deal with decision makers, and Des and I are say in a very similar industry, we're in the technology industry, right? So for us right now, if today we are able to narrate speed breakers, roadblocks, and success stories, it is that what makes us gender neutral. So, I mean, we both continue to look lovely women, but our stories continue to become gender neutral. So,
I
that is
was
the
I
point.
was I was called the coaching queen by my team, Maya, which was like Queen Bee, as they sort of refer to me. And it's like, and just things like that where people sort of look to you and make you like they sensing that they're in awe of you. And when I hear things like that, it's like, really, I'm Queen Bee, but what I do because it's what my passion is. So for me, it's not work. For me, I'm actually doing something that I enjoy. And if that makes a difference to one person, to two people, to 100, you know what? I'm living the best life.
Very true. And one last point, Rohit, regarding the awareness aspect or policy aspect. The fundamental premise of coaching is You're only creating and holding a space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And believe me, I have a double whammy here. As a woman, that is my innate strength. As a coach, that is
As a
also my
coach as
innate
well.
training.
Yeah.
So, either ways, it's a double whammy for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Very inspiring, actually. Now we're talking about stories, and we discuss about stories, right? So I want to start with you, Des, in this next part. Can you share a story of a mentorship or support that has been instrumental in your career and to
Um,
develop yourself as a woman in coaching?
I think I don't think it's mentorship. I think for me it's sponsorship. Sponsorship, um, because it's not it's not coaching or mentoring as such. It's recognition within the company that I work in that I've got the qualities and the skills and the potential to offer and make a difference to our organization. That started off at the team level. It's now at a point where it's at the C-suite level. So it's a sponsorship of putting me into the uncomfortable situations, knowing that by doing so, I'm going to grow. And so I was put in at the over, I think it was last September. I was put in front of the CEO of the company, with all his direct reports, and I had to talk about coaching and the difference coaching will make to our organization. And I was really out, I felt out of my depth. It's real true imposter syndrome. When I went in there, my stomach was in knots, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? What have I got to say to these individuals that they don't know already? You know, but it was the
Please note, please.
trust.
She said, what do I have to say to these individuals? She didn't say, what do I have to say to these men? So
No,
fundamentally, that language matters. Well said,
yeah,
well said,
absolutely. Thank
yes,
you.
well said.
Yeah. And so for me, it's that sponsorship, having the trust that I can go in a room and make a difference. It gave me that sort of, we talk about the phoenix rising out of the fire. That was my moment of I can be what I want to be because I've got people that back me and have my back regardless.
True. I think infinite thank you to you, Rohit. There's so much I think Des and I are right now articulating, which I think is translating into a great word of confidence. And long time back there was this cigarette ad. I don't know. I don't smoke, but there was a cigarette ad of Virginia Slims, and the tagline was "You've come a long way, baby." So when Des was narrating her moment in the sunshine, it kind of reminded me of that. You've come a long way, baby. And I think men are deprived of that frame. And I'm sure you all would love to be also told, you've come a long way, guy. You would love to be told that also, perhaps with due respect. And I so understand what Des was saying about standing in a room full of decision makers who all just happen to be men. And bringing in and the funny thing, I'm yet to actually, there are a lot of men in the coaching space, but I haven't heard too many stories of men standing in a boardroom talking about coaching and selling it. I've heard more stories about women standing in a boardroom talking about coaching, which is kind of ironic. If you come to know of people, men, do let me know because I'd love to swap stories. At Des too, I think.
Absolutely. It reminds me of a quote, right, that I hold dear to my heart, and it's by Maya Angelou, and great name that you share, Maya yourself. And it's like it says, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think in life, that's the perspective as a coach that I try to nurture within the people that I interact with. You decide what you want to change. You decide your motivators. You decide what you want to go after. And whatever that is, once you've got that passion, you'll have the determination, you'll have the drive to make a difference. And if I can release that realization in an individual, I've done my job.
Yo, beautiful. By the way, Des, I've been sharing a phenomenal woman by Maya Angelou today.
Oh,
You know, as my message. So, yes. Oh boy, are we in sync or what? Excuse me. Talking about mentor, I think I have my fair share of men and women, and as Des started with her mother, same here. I'd like to start with my grandmother, maybe, perhaps grandmother, mother, my father, my brother, the reporting manager I have just now. You know, he very interestingly, he's my sounding board. So when I get all agitated with the uh, nincompoops around me. I think that's a decent word. Yes. So with the nincompoops around me. So yesterday he made a comment. He said, the reason you're getting so agitated and you're walking away from the fight is because what you strongly believe in is not accorded respect and dignity. So you're not looking for people to agree with you, but you're looking for your thought process being accorded respect and dignity. And since you find it is not there, you just walk away from it, which was something which was very profound and enlightening. Um, and that led me to believe, so what exactly is the premise with which I'm choosing my battles? And there I would like to lean in towards my daughter. She is in the field of sustainability, which I think is as much of a chasm as gender is. And she's like half my age, and the amount of how sustainable is her sustainability focus is very inspiring. How she stands her ground, is willing to be labeled, is willing to take up fights, but to stand her ground. And at the same time, over the last, I would say, decade, she has learned the art of live and let live. Each will find their path, each will discover their journey, and it is not for us to define it. We do have the hope that we could fast forward it, but it is not in our hands. And so I go back to the fact that as a coach, we hold spaces. That's it. And like Max Ehrmann says, with all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it's still a beautiful world. Strive on.
Just drive on. Yeah. With this, I can't believe I don't know where the time has gone. We are nearly at the end of our session today. I just wanted to end this with my last question. what message would you like to convey to the next generation of women leaders in coaching, especially today in International Women's Day? I want to start with you, Maya.
I have a feeling Des and I just gave our grand finale.
Let's finish with grand finale.
He quoted Maya Angelou, and I quoted Max Ehrmann, and we are like, yeah, that was it. But for all coaches and women coaches, since you asked for women coaches, be clear about why you're a coach and get out and do your best. If you can look in the mirror and respect yourself as a coach, that mirror is all that you need.
You know what, Maya? I had start with why.
There you
Yeah.
are.
So same thing. If you don't know your why you're doing what you're doing, do something that you're passionate about. Discover your capabilities. And you know what? The road's not going to be smooth, but that's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely fine. Look in the mirror and say, I am enough. I am enough for today. What am I looking to do tomorrow? And look, life is going to be a constant battle. I sort of feel for the next generation and the world that they're going to face into. We've overcome a lot of things. In order to overcome wherever you want your life to be, whatever your passions are, you need to be clear on the why. Otherwise, you're not going to have that determination. You're not going to put in the hard graft. You're not going to do the work needed to get there.
Very true.
But use your support network, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
not in this alone. Go to those friends, go to those people that you trust. I know a lot of time people say, "Oh, I don't need a coach. I don't want them to tell me what I already know." But it's not a case of, judging you. You want people to actually be objective, to ask you those sort of deep inner questions that if you're frightened to face into, then you're not going to change. And usually we're scared because, they say fear comes with things you can't control. But if you can then unpack those things that are scaring you to make some sort of understanding of the why, then you can overcome it, right?
Very true.
It, and I know what we say is simple but hard, but that's where it's a case of that network, that sharing of experiences, that together, I think, as we need human beings, our DNA is we have that social contact, but it's through that social contact as well. Let's use it for positive impact, and that's around making us better individuals, better human beings, to be able to better serve each other and maybe you and this planet, right? With your daughter and the sustainability aspects.
Cool.
Rohit, so our message from me and from Des is that be like a flower.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. Be
And then,
delicate, be beautiful, and be strong.
and can I just, I know we're going to close soon, but I have got a household of men, my two sons,
Mm.
grown up sons, and my husband. But you know what? I told them that Rohit asked me to step in this morning and do this. And my son sent me this little note here. And he
Exactly.
basically says, Mum, my passcode to my phone is because he knew I was struggling with the network. If you need to wake me up because I had to get up at 4 o'clock this morning for this podcast for help with using my phone, then please do so. Don't worry about it. I'm proud of you. You've got this. You
There
know,
you are.
and that's male. That's my son, who's a man, who's inspiring me as a woman. And if he can do that to his children, to his, partner in the years to come, and within, he's going into architecture, and there's females going into that, and he's looking to support them to advance. Then what more can we ask for?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Rohit, we have all intentions of continuing to be a woman.
Yeah. No, I mean, great message, Des. Thanks for sharing that.
It's
And
okay.
thanks for the flower analogy as well, Maya.
No, I love it.
Much appreciated. Yeah. Well,
True.
thank you very much, both of you. It's been lovely speaking to you today. And especially thanks, Des, for coming up on this last
No
minute,
problem.
waking up early.
If I had my coffee, it's fine.
Yeah. And I wanna say, like, we have a special festival as well today, Shivratri of Lord Shiva. Des, if you don't know, is I know there is a form of Shiva, this Ardhanarishwar. This symbolizes male and female principles, and they say they cannot be separated. It conveys the unity of opposites in the universe. As like Maya, you mentioned, like as human, we just are human. Without even man or woman or anything. It's the equity we are looking for. In all shape and form or anything. We shouldn't be judged on anything. So thank you very much, both of you, for coming on to this space. And
Thank you.
there's no question, but no, we actually spoke a lot. Hope our listeners are listening and getting a lot out of this today, and celebrating International Women's Day. And it's not
Thank you.
today; it's every day. But yeah, like you said,
Yeah,
Maya, it's a kind of a
absolutely.
birthday, right? So have a special day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very
And
much.
Des,
Yeah,
lovely meeting you.
Lovely
Lovely.
meeting you, Maya. Take care.
Absolutely.
take care,
Take care.
everyone.
Thank
Stay
you,
safe.
Rohit.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Stay safe and
Bye.
have a good day. Bye. Bye.
Bye
And
bye.
thanks very much to Abhyuday as well for supporting this podcast. And we're going to end this here today. And I will see you soon. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.